Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Elves and I'm the founder of Green Zebra Markets. What we try to do with our markets is offer fresh and affordable local fruits and vegetables and other items like baked goods, fresh baked breads and pies, honey, kettle corn, all kinds of different items at affordable prices. Our markets are open to everyone, and if you're wondering what the market looks like, think about it as a farmer's market where you see quite a large variety and selection of different items, but just condensed into a smaller space. And we definitely do have more affordable pricing than what you're used to at a typical farmer's market. In fact, most of our items are priced at or below grocery store prices, and that's really important to us because a lot of folks are struggling to make ends meet, and it's hard for them to afford local, fresh, and quality food items, and people end up eating a lot of cheaper processed food, which obviously isn't good for your health and for your personal well-being. And we're trying to change all of that with our Green Zebra Markets. We have our markets every Wednesday from 3 to 7 p.m. year-round. And we are outdoors, which I think is great, which lends to this whole community gathering aspect. It is open and inviting, and anyone can attend. We are at 8680 Hudson Street, which is right in front of St. Augustine's Church, which is gracious enough to let us use their front lawn area. And that is right near the Marine Drive SkyTrain station at Hudson and 71st is where we're located. So it's pretty accessible in terms of bus routes. And we do place a priority on the local items. We source as close to the Vancouver area as we can because I think it's really important for people to know that we need to support our local farmers because when push comes to shove, we are dependent on them and they are dependent on us because we obviously need to be buying their food so that they can live and afford to actually continue on as farmers and to provide us for this food that we depend on. And one of the things we're seeing right now is because we have been importing a lot more food than honestly we should be doing. We have the capacity to greatly expand the agricultural system in British Columbia. And one of the things that's holding us back is surplus of cheap imports. So an example I like to give people is one of my favorite items that I've grown and that I love to eat fresh off the vine, and that is sugar snap peas. You cannot find a large commercial grower in British Columbia any longer who grows sugar snap peas. And that is because a few years ago, there was a flood of cheap, underpriced sugar snap peas in from the market in China being imported into British Columbia, and the farmers here, they could not afford to continue growing sugar snap peas. They could not get a price for them that allowed them to grow them here, which is unfortunate. And now that area of farming has completely been phased out, and it's sad that this isn't the only example. There are many crops like this, garlic for one. It's extremely hard to find local garlic. You can find some at the local farmers markets, and you will end up paying a premium for them because people aren't growing them on as large a scale as they probably used to because they are having to compete with these really super cheap imports from the Asian market. Now, what happens when you get a situation like the California drought, which I imagine many of you might have heard about in the news? We import an enormous amount of food from California. Just to give you an example, right now, almost all of the peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, and lettuces, things like that you see on the grocery store shelves right now are probably from California, maybe Mexico, and other similar places. They are not local at this time of year. And you might have already noticed quite dramatic price increases. And that is obviously directly linked to the drought, which is a product and it has been made worse by global warming. So when you have this drought, many of the farmers in California end up letting their fields go fallow because they can no longer afford to grow those items which are requiring more and more water because of the drought. And the water prices are drastically increasing for them because of the drought. So they let these fields go fallow. Otherwise, they would be losing money if they were growing those same crops. They could not get enough market value from those items if they were to grow them at this period of time during the drought. So what that means to us is that their food production is decreased. And the food they are producing is going to be prioritized for markets closer to their home. So California. So they're going to be getting most of the food that's produced there because Californians need to eat just like we do. And so we're going to be getting less food that is imported to British Columbia. So it was a higher price to start with because the farmers have had to raise their prices because of the drought. Now we're getting less of it to BC. That raises the price even more. And so we are going to see huge price increases in the fresh produce at our grocery stores because of the drought. And this wouldn't necessarily be the case or be as bad as if we had been supporting our local farmers more along the way and they had been able to be growing more of these items at home. And also especially if we are not eating within the season, like if we are trying to eat tomatoes now when this is not the time of year for the tomatoes, even the local hothouse growers in the Fraser Valley have begun to shut down for the season because it is getting too cold for them to keep the heat on in their hothouses. So eating in season, eating locally allows us to support our local farmers so that when the outside markets are experiencing turmoil from drought or whatever other reason, we still have them to be able to rely on. And again, they're going to prioritize shipping to their nearby sources and markets, so the Vancouver area. So those are the people that we need to support to protect us from huge price fluctuations in the future, which we are going to see more and more of, again, because of global warming, because you're going to see an increased number of droughts, increased severity, and increased duration of this drought. Never mind the increasing levels of CO2 in the atmosphere, which adversely affects the crop growing conditions. And there's a whole slew of other problems related to global warming that I won't go into at this point. But supporting our local farmers allows us to at least partially combat that and insulate us from those drastic effects that we are going to see more and more of in the future. So at our market, we do that. We are supporting our local farmers and buying as close to the Vancouver area as is humanly possible. And you're not only going to see lower prices, but you're going to notice an amazing difference in taste. BC carrots are like none that I have ever tasted. I don't know what's in the soil here, but we grow good carrots. It's just not going to taste the same coming from California or anywhere else. So the taste, the freshness, because obviously it's having to travel less distance from farm to table. And it's just something that you can feel good about, and you know where the food is coming from. And a lot of the farms I source from, I know the farmers personally, and so that's an added aspect, is that you get to hear a little bit of the farmer story and how they grow their foods and why they got into agriculture. And that is a good feeling that you can have from shopping at our market and from your other local farmers markets. So I hope you come by and visit us. Again, we're every Wednesday 3 to 7 p.m. year round at 8680 Hudson Street. And this coming Wednesday is going to be our last Wednesday before Christmas, because the next two fall on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. But we are going to be back the first Wednesday in January, which is January 6th. So I really hope to see you this coming Wednesday or the first Wednesday in January. And I hope that you will come and that you will stay and chat, because you will meet so many interesting people, your neighbors, the other volunteers, and we get into all kinds of random interesting conversations about local agriculture and food security and different social justice aspects to it. So I invite you to definitely come down, bring your friends, and help spread the good word. And please make sure to follow us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Green Zebra Markets. And I'll see you at the market.